Greetings and welcome to the Dangerous Gentleman podcast. Yes, I am the Dangerous Gentleman. No, I did not give myself that nickname, but I certainly did earn it. On today's episode, we're going to talk about what do we do now. So the last couple episodes, we've talked about the election, the potential ramifications, and then kind of the aftermath and fallout of that. But now is when we really have to get to work. We should have been working all this time, but now is when we really have a chance to get after it. We can't rest where we are. We've made some gains, but we need to keep pressing. But before we get into all of that, I want to thank you all for all the comments, all the likes, all the shares, all the subscribes. And I want to encourage you to continue to do the same. We're starting to get some momentum here. So please, if you're new or if you're old, like, comment, share, subscribe. Also, check the links down below for all my social media accounts. And there's also an offer in there for some really cool stuff that could be potentially life-changing for you. So if you're into that kind of thing, check it out. All right. So what do we do now? Donald Trump's been elected president. And I'm not going to make too much commentary about all of that, but it kind of feels like the adults are back in charge a little bit. Also, like the way the world is responding. I don't know about you guys, but when I was growing up, sometimes my parents would go out of town and they'd leave the kids, they'd leave us with a babysitter, or they'd leave us with my older brother or older sister, or sometimes they'd just be gone for a couple hours. And when you're kids and when you're kind of left unsupervised, sometimes you wreak a little havoc, cause a little chaos, do some stuff that you maybe wouldn't do if your parents were there. And then you heard that car come up the driveway and you knew that it was time to get your shit together. You had 10 seconds or 30 seconds or however long it took for your parents to get from the car to the house. And you better do what you can. And so it kind of feels like that's what the world is doing. Kind of feels like even what parts of this country are doing right now. They're like, oh crap, the car's coming in the driveway. We better start to mind our P's and Q's. There's a lot of that going on. And I'm not going to dive into a whole bunch of what that all means. But what we can't do, the rest of us, those of us who voted, of us who are happy about what the outcome was, we can't rest on this. We worked really hard. We got out and we voted and we put in the work and we got this done. We overcame some really bad momentum. Like things were starting to really swing in one direction and we got them swinging back. There's a lot of people out there too that are calling, it's time to be unified. It's time to be unified. And I agree that there's a time for some unity. There will be. But for now, for this week, maybe the next couple of weeks, I want to celebrate. I want to be happy in this moment. I want to just relish this. I want to celebrate. Right? And I don't mind watching a few people melt down over it. That's fine. They can throw their tantrum. There's going to be plenty of people throwing tantrums. And then when things start to turn around, and when things start to go better, if they can step back and actually look at things and be like, oh, yeah, things are better. Oh, yeah, this thing is like, I have more money in my pocket. I have more pride in my country. If they're actually able to take a moment and sit back and to be able to look at this without their derangement and to be able to look at it like adults, they'll see that things are swinging around, right? But they have to start with taking some responsibility for themselves. So what I'm going to do over the next couple episodes is I'm going to lay out some action steps for what I think people should be doing. Now, these aren't all mine. These are different things that I've taken from different people, and I've kind of compiled them into my own list of things, because these are also things that I already want to do and already do myself. And so to hear other people say them and to combine them with my own personal experience, this is where we go from here. So we'll celebrate a little bit, and then we'll get down to unity, and we'll get down to really actually getting some work done. Because that's the difference between the old administration and what the new administration is trying to do, right? The old administration took all the responsibility away from you. They wanted to give you things. They wanted to make your life as easy as possible. They wanted to take from some people and give to other people to try to make things all fair and square. But the world isn't fair and square. People who work hard, generally speaking, get rewarded for working hard. And people who don't want to take responsibility for themselves usually end up relying on other people to take that responsibility for them. And that's not the way the world works. That's not what America was built on. America was built on the idea of the rugged individual, right, making a way for themselves, trying to improve their own world and the world of other people around them. So that's really where we've got to put our time. That's really where we've got to put our energy, right? And for me, I may not talk about this all the time, but I hope it comes across in what I say. For me, that starts with my relationship with God. I'm dealing with some personal stuff right now where I'm really having to step back from several different things in order to be able to focus my attention back on my relationship with God. Not just doing the things, but actually focusing on the relationship. I've been called out recently, and so I'm working through a process in order to really get back in touch with that personal side of God. So keep that in mind as I talk through everything that I talk about today, that God is in the center of that for me. And these are essentially godly principles that I'm talking about. I may not smear Jesus on it, right? But all of this stuff is focused, starts with my relationship on God. So I'm going to lay out 6 things that I think people should be focused on. And we're going to deep dive into about 3 of those. And then next week, we're going to jump in and we're going to talk about those other 3. Because I don't want to overwhelm you. I want to give you some very practical, actionable steps today. So the first thing that we all need to focus on, step 1, is personal excellence. We've got to raise our own level, our own standard of living, right? So that personal excellence is really where it starts. There's a guy I listen to. His name is Andy Frisella. This is one of his shirts. One of the things that he likes to say is personal excellence is the ultimate form of rebellion. But we'll dig into all that a little bit. So step 1, personal excellence. Step 2, financial independence. We've got to not rely on other people for our own well-being. It starts here. Number 3 is build community. Focus on local, but also we got to build global and larger networks of people. So community is super important. Number 4 is we got to focus on core American values. We as Americans need to focus on core American values. Number 5, zero compromise. There are certain things that we've just got to stand up for and not give in on at all. And the last thing, and maybe the most important, is we've got to focus on family, our own family. Okay, so those are the 6. So personal excellence, financial independence, building community, core American values, zero compromise, and focus on family. So let's break those down a little bit even more. So that we're going to talk about the first 3. So start with personal excellence. Personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. And what that means is if we striving to be personally excellent, we aren't relying on other people for our own happiness, for our own well-being, or anything like that. Okay, there's going to be a lot of potentially really big changes that are going to occur with the new administration that are really going to focus. They're going to give people the opportunity to grow and to strive and to become a better person. There's 3 areas that I see that as where we need to strive for personal excellence, and that's spiritually. So that's our connection with God. Go to church, find other people. Determine what that spirituality is, because a lot of people just go through life and they're like, yeah, I'm spiritual, but they have no idea what that actually means. And they use the idea of being spiritual as an excuse for doing what they want or justifying their actions. You have to have, your spirituality has to be based on something. It has to be based on a foundation. And my personal belief is that foundation has to be the Bible, and it has to be on core theology of the Bible, who God is, what his attributes are. I could do an entire series of podcasts just on that, but we need to have core values. We need to have a foundation, a spiritual foundation, and we need to actually put time and energy into understanding what that is and what it means. Super important, because it really sets the tone for everything else. We have to be physically excellent. Like 70% of military-age males in this country are ineligible for one reason or another to serve in the military. If we were to get attacked by a large superpower from another country, our military is not strong. We are not strong as men. We are not strong as a country. We're not healthy. Like, there's trillions of dollars we spend on metabolic diseases. Overall, I can't remember the exact number, but overall, health-wise, America is way down the list as far as developed countries. We spend more money on healthcare, and we have one of the worst health scores across the world. We spend billions, if not trillions of dollars on pharmaceutical drugs, when so often the answer is simply in how we eat. We eat like crap. When Robert Kennedy comes in, he's going to work on making a whole bunch of changes to FDA, big pharma, and all that stuff. Like, there are chemicals and toxins that we use in our food in this country that they don't use in other countries. And the rates of certain chronic diseases are way lower in those countries. And it's not a matter of these things being like us eating too much of them or whatever. It's the fact that they're in there in the first place. And it's hard for us to even buy food that doesn't have the chemicals and the dyes and all that stuff in it. So become spiritually strong, become physically strong. And that means getting to the gym and exercising. It also means being focused and being intentional with what you eat. Eliminate processed foods. Eat whole foods. Eat animal products, right? This is a whole separate, and I'll probably be releasing a whole series of podcasts on these topics. But for now, we're focusing on getting the information, getting you some actionable steps. So eat single ingredient foods. That's like beef, eggs, dairy, fruits, vegetables. Eat single ingredient foods most of the time. Get rid of all the processed crap. Go to the gym. Be intentional about getting exercise. Lift weights. It's one of the best things that you can do for health is to build muscle. Okay. So spiritual, build a spiritual foundation. Physical health, exercise, eat right. Okay. Mental, read things that are going to improve your mind. Educate yourself. Just generally speaking, read the classics. Read philosophy. Read the Bible, most importantly, as far as I'm concerned. But also educate yourself on the political issues. Educate yourself on the cultural issues and things that are going on in the world so you know what you're talking about and you don't sound like an idiot. Build your mind. Read self-help material. Stuff that's going to get you improve your mindset. Read David Goggins, Jocko Willink, those types of guys. Right? It'll help set your mind straight so you're willing and you're able to go strong and hard and fast and do what you need to do. So that's how we build personal excellence: spiritual, physical, and mental. Okay. Become financially successful. That's the second thing we need to focus on. Do everything you can to build your financial portfolio, to start boosting your income. And with some of the changes that we're likely to see within the next 3 to 6 months and happening over the course of the next 3 or 4 years, our tax rates are probably going to go down. Our energy bills are probably going to go down. We're going to have more money in our pocket, but we can't rest. We can't just, oh, yay, I'm getting more money coming in. Start to invest it. Use those things. Buy courses and things that are going to improve your financial situation. Become excellent at whatever it is you're doing. If you work fast food, become the best in whatever position you're in. If you work at a retail store, work your way up the ladder as far as you can. If you have a dream job, start working your way towards that. That doesn't mean you should just go to school for the sake of going to school. If you have a career in mind that requires schooling, go to school, become good at that. If you already have a profession, if you're a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer, keep progressing on your skills. If you have an idea and the ability to start your own business, learn how to do it. Count the cost before you just jump out on your own. But then jump out there and do that. It's going to become easier over the course of the next couple of years if things go as we think that they might, right? Regardless of whether they go that way or not, you should be doing those kinds of things. You should be trying to figure out a way to make more money. You should be figuring out a way to get out of debt so that you aren't reliant on other people to help you with all of these things. If you are financially independent, you don't have to rely on all of these other things. That's a big reason why we end up getting a lot of the laws passed that get passed, is because most of the people that are passing the laws, those laws don't necessarily apply to them, or they're in a financial tier that none of these changes that affect gas prices and grocery costs and electricity and all that stuff, it doesn't affect them that much because their financial tier is up here and we're right here. We're right here in the middle of it. So those costs of living increases, they affect us. They don't really affect them all that much. Another byproduct of getting healthy, like I talked about in step 1, is that you won't be reliant on doctors all the time. You won't be running to the doctor. You will be physically healthy and your medical bills will go down. Medical emergencies are one of, if not the top reasons why people end up filing for bankruptcy. They are not financially stable enough to handle when an emergency comes up. And so something bad happens and boom, they crash and they declare bankruptcy and all kinds of stuff. So, step 1, personal excellence. Step 2, become financially independent to the best of your ability. Step 3, build community. We need to be surrounded by people who, not only just people that think like us, but we need to also surround ourselves by people who don't think like us to be able to challenge us and push us and help us to grow. But you need to have a community of people that you can rely on, that have your back, that you work together with. I have a great community here where I live. I've talked about it before in previous podcasts and how we actually get things done on the local community level. So find people, focus on local people, and focus on people who are willing to get things done, who want to take action, right? Start to educate yourself on what's going on in your local community and get together with those people and talk about it and work together to accomplish the things that you see need to happen in your community and take action. And when people start to see that, other people around you are going to see you and your friends and your people taking action, and they're going to want to be a part of it. They're going to be like, oh, look at those guys. They're getting shit done. They made a change around here locally. We need to do the same thing. Start local community gardens. Start political action committees. If you see something that's going on in your community that needs to be addressed, address it. And if you have to do it by yourself, cool. But if you have a whole group of people who want to address it together, think about how much more powerful that is, right? You are not an island. Yes, it has to start with personal excellence. But once you build that personal excellence, I talked about that too. Once you build that personal excellence, you're going to attract other people around you because you are personally excellent. They're going to see that. You're going to draw people in by your example. And then you're going to have a community, and then you're going to become stronger, and they're going to become stronger. And you are going to be able to get things done in your community. It's hugely important. Each of these pieces, each of the things build on each other. So, starts with personal excellence. Well, it starts with Your foundation built on God and the solid principles of your spirituality in the Bible. Then we go to personal excellence, physical, spiritual, and personal excellence. Then become financially successful. Become financially independent so that you aren't relying on anybody else and that you can actually give and help other people. Because when we are financially independent, not only are we not relying on other people, but we are there for others as well. And then once you have that, build a community of people locally that's focused on action and getting stuff done. And spread that online, because I know a lot of stuff happens online anymore, right? We have all these chat groups and all these different people that we know all around the world that are getting things done, and that's super important as well. But your focus needs to be on the local and on the action. So those are the three first things. Next week we'll get into core American values, we'll get into zero compromise, and we'll get into talking about focusing on the family. So again, thank you for tuning in today. I hope this was practical. I hope it gives you some things to think about and some things to actually start doing, because we can't wait to start doing these things for January. If we start now, we're already going to have momentum build up by the time that happens. We should be doing these things all along, but now, like we've been doing, a lot of us have been doing these things, and it just feels like we're up against a wall. My gut feeling is that wall that we've been pounding and beating up against for so long, that wall is going to start to crumble. And we're going to have the opportunity to build and grow. But we have to start now, and we have to keep doing these things, because we can't take it for granted that someone up here is going to fix all of our problems down here. We have to start here and start to build. And that's where we are as a culture. And that's why it starts now. And that's why we got to actually take action and not wait for other people. We can't wait for other people to fix it. We have to do our part too. Okay. So again, I hope you got something out of this. And if you want to check me out, learn a little bit more about me, again, check out my socials down in the description. There's that free offer down there too. Also, like, comment, share, subscribe. And I appreciate you all. And we will talk to you next time.
So if you like this content, please give it a rating, a review, and share it with your friends. Also, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about me and what I'm all about and what I can maybe do for you, check out my website at thedangerousgentleman.org. That's thedangerousgentleman.org. Thank you for listening.